There's one thief, one individual that Spider-Man has dated, worked with, and worked against throughout the years. An individual within the Spider family that is probably going to be affected by the King in Black event, as it's a Spider-Man Venom-centric thing. Yeah, this is Black Cat. And you've also found yourself at the Comicstorian channel, where we take some of your favorite trade paperbacks and single issues, and we break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read them dramatically back to you. All alterations of the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Now, the King in Black event involves the God of Death coming to Earth and conquering it. It's a part of a Venom storyline, but we've been doing a lot of the tie-ins that tell you the stories of other superheroes and how the world being conquered by Venom symbiotes looks to them and how they have to fight against it. Today's a character you probably weren't expecting, as we've been skipping over her tie-ins specifically to do all three of them back to back. Today is Black Cat, the King in Black tie-ins 1 through 3. The doors blast inward and the thieves move fast. They grab the bags of money, shield black funds that are untraceable and used for funding operations around the globe. They load the cash into their Jeep and they drive right out of the underground tunnels that S.H.I.E.L.D. has built beneath the city. They haul ass throughout the underground and they don't even notice the beautiful woman dangling from the ceiling, keeping pace with their Jeep. Felicia Hardy smiles as she glances up at her crew driving the Spider-Mobile. He wasn't even using it. It was just sitting around. She swings in low, preparing to hijack the Jeep and steal the money that the crew has already stolen. But suddenly the tunnel collapses over their heads as a massive symbiote dragon cracks through the ceiling. Black Cat is tossed aside, knocked unconscious from her fall. And as she finally opens up her eyes, she sees Doc and Bruno leaning over her, concern on their faces. "What happened?" she groggily asks. "Some kind of ghoul monster, boss. Smashed through the ceiling and trashed the mark, then took off," Bruno tells her. He nods to the giant hole and reminds her about the evac order that had come through. Felicia nods, telling her crew to take the buggy back to Jersey. They then yell out for her as she leaps out of the hole and into the city. "Someone or something is messing up my job, and I don't let anyone do that without getting as much as a black eye or a bloody nose," she calls back to them. As she swings throughout the city, she's shocked by the destruction and the sheer number of symbiote dragons that are flying around, and she lands quickly amongst the group of heroes that are fighting back. "Get those civilians to the Quinjet! Push back the symbiotes! I don't care how you do it!" Captain America shouts, and Black Cat lands behind him, not sure if he even knows who she is. "You're Black Cat, Felicia Hardy. Glad you came. We need every hand that we can get if we're going to turn this around," Cap shouts at her as he catches his shield on the return. Black Cat nods, leaping into the fight to protect the civilians. "We're going to turn this around, right?" she asks as she slashes with her claws. And Cap nods, telling her that they have the Sorcerer Supreme and the X-Men on their side. "We have to trust them to hold up their end, so that folks like us can get the civilians to safety," he tells her. But before his eyes, the symbiote dragons begin to swarm Doctor Strange. It is too much for the Sorcerer. In a matter of seconds, he's enveloped by a symbiote bubble. Events happened fast after that. The Dark God Null appeared. The century arrived and hope was renewed, but only within a few moments, the godlike being was torn in half and the heroes fell. In Jersey, Felicia finishes telling her crew how it went down. "And I got away. I always get away," she whispers, nodding to them. She knows that they're just thieves and this is some cosmic level stuff. "But I meant what I said earlier. Whatever this thing is, I do fully intend to give it a bloody nose," she says. And with those words, she looks up at Dr. Steve inside of the headquarters of Alchemex. The man is an expert on symbiotes. She looks at him, asking if he's part of the crew now. "We need you, Steve. We're gonna go out there and give this Null guy a black eye by running a job on him," she tells him. He leans forward. "What could you possibly steal from him?" Memories of Cap being swallowed by the symbiotes flash before Felicia's eyes. He turns to her, telling her to get away. Captain America himself told Felicia to keep fighting. "That's an order! Fall back, regroup, and then find a way to break me out!" Cap shouted at her as she ran away. In Alchemex, Felicia nods, standing up. "Like I said, we're thieves, not cosmic beings. And that's why we're gonna steal one," she tells Steve as she turns to the rest of the crew. "We're gonna steal Doctor Strange." Back inside of the city, Felicia looks through her binos and sees the orb that they have Doctor Strange trapped in. "I guess we're not getting any younger. Saddle up, boys. Let's hope we live long enough to get older," she tells the crew. 2 hours ago at Alchemex, Steve still believed that they were going to try their plan. But Felicia smiled, running down the list of super people that she had recently stolen from. What can you do equipment-wise? She asked after she silenced their arguments, and Steve nods, pulling out the metallic orbs, placing them on the table. He explains that when Brock came to him with a warning of the coming invasion, he created 2 anti-venom suits in rapid deployment modules. He explains that the suits should repel the symbiotes, but they will only last for a few moments. I don't know how you find Dr. Strange in all of that mess, he tells her. Felicia thinks about it for a moment and then comes up with an idea. But Boris, you'll have to call up that friend of yours that you think we all don't know about, she tells him with a smile. Now she stands on the edge of the building. The ghost hound, Bats, is strapped to her chest. Oh boy, back on the crew! Bats shouts with a wag of his spectral tail. Welcome back, baby. Sorry if I got you in trouble last time, she smiles at the dog. We'll call it square when you get me back. Bats nods, and she nods to the dog, explaining that she'll get them to the orb and then Bats will lead them to Strange. She looks down at the chunk of wrapped wood in her hand, questioning whether it will power up the sorcerer. I think so. He used it to clock Loki one time, Bats tells her. Good enough for me, she says with a smile, and heads back over to her crew, smiling at the ride that they took from Alchemex. You know, I've always wanted to fly one of these. Moments later, Black Cat is flying over the city on an old goblin glider. Bats the ghost hound howling from her chest, and they leap off of the orb with Felicia activating the anti-venom suit. As she plummets down towards the globe, she lands inside, allowing her anti-venom suit to take control and breathe for her. A moment later, Bats appears beside her. I found him! Follow me! The glowing dog shouts. She keeps swimming, pushing through on the ghost dog's trail until finally she sees him, Dr. Strange. You better be worth the faith that Captain America put in you, Doc, Felicia whispers as she moves closer. She activates the second suit, allowing it to wrap around the Sorcerer Supreme and protect him, but the symbiotes, they begin to attack, feeling the 2 of them escaping. Black Cat manages to push out, pulling Strange with her. Yo, taxi! She shouts as they fall to the city below, and Boris hooks her as the crew dives to the nearest building in the Spider-Mobile. She flips him into the car, yelling for the Doctor of Destruction to wake up the Sorcerer. Bruno, time to show these alien jerks how we drive on Earth, she shouts with a smile. As the Spider-Mobile continues to evade the dragons, Felicia throws a batch of grenades back at them, slowing down some of them. Bruno keeps driving, jumping the supercar across from building to building. Doc, I told you to wake him up, she shouts over her shoulder. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a blowing things up doctor, Boris shouts, and the dragons hit them again, tossing the car. The car leaps through the air again, but this time the dragons manage to destroy one of the wheels. The car lands hard, bouncing, until finally it comes to a stop. The car is dead, and Felicia looks up at the approaching horde of symbiote dragons. Boys, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not looking good, she sighs. She looks down at the chunk of wood in her hands, sighing that they never got to see Strange use it. He pulls free the cloth, her hand caressing the wood. She knows their weapons won't work on the dragons. She knows that they only have one chance and that this is probably the end. Bats, where did you say this thing was from? Asgard. The ghost dog woofs. Energy cracks all around them as the piece of wood floats into the sky and a bolt of lightning strikes. Black Cat is now transformed into a being of magic. Oh, I see, she whispers. Felicia looks around, finding herself in a chamber of endless black. Well, I guess that didn't work, so I died? She whispers, and looking around, she's startled to see the Black Fox standing before her. Nothing so dramatic, he tells her as he straightens his suit. The man explains that he's not really the Black Fox, but felt that this image would be easier for Felicia to understand. Who the hell are you and where are my guys? She questions, and the Black Fox explains that he is magic. Old magic, wild magic. She turns to him, questioning what is happening outside of her mind. In reality, I won't lie to you, it's looking bad, the Black Fox tells her. And outside, Felicia is rising up into the sky, energy crackling around her as the dragons draw near. But inside her mind, she shouts at the old man that she needs to get back. Not until you've heard what I had to say. In taking the fragment of Yggdrasil, you've gripped a live wire, and through that live wire runs magic, he tells her as he begins to walk down some of the stairs. I'll bite. So what does magic want with me? She asks as she follows him, and he nods, explaining that he wants her to say yes, that he wants to be free. To do that, I require a conduit, one that can provide consent, he tells her. The floor cracks, the smoke rises as magic offers her unbridled power. Talk is cheap, and I have expensive tastes, so give me a taste, she tells him. What do you have in mind? Magic asks. And she nods, telling him that she wants to punish the dragons that are attacking her and her crew. Outside, her eyes go wide. I'm back, boys, she shouts, launching herself at the dragons, throwing wild magic at them, cutting them in half. But in her mind, Felicia is sitting on a couch while Black Fox sips champagne, the images of the battle flashing across a TV screen in front of them. Tell me, Felicia, when was the first time you felt powerless? The magic asks her. The images on the screen change, and Felicia is a little girl crying as her mother tells her that her father died, but he didn't. He was really going to jail. I was fine. I lived, and I got him out of jail so that he could die in his own bed, she tells Magic as she turns from the TV, more images of her life flashing before her eyes. Outside, God Mode Felicia continues to fight, reveling in her power. Is that all you've got? She shouts as the magic is swirling around her. Well, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. I was afraid she might explode. Bats tells the crew as they all look on in fear. Strange begins to stir, shocked by what he sees when his eyes open. His eyes widen further as Bats quickly explains how they got into the situation. Black Fox continues to lead Felicia down the hallways of her life, paintings on the walls showing key moments where she felt weak or simply needed more power. Outside, Strange looks at the crew, telling them that everything is extremely bad. She's channeling the raw energy of creation, which is utterly amoral and as destructive as a hurricane. As an atomic bomb, she must put it down on her own accord before she is overwhelmed. And if she is overwhelmed, we will have created a danger far worse than what we were fighting before. Strange explains to the crew. The only one that can stop her, though, is herself. Felicia and Fox are sitting on the bench now, and before them is another painting of Black Cat being attacked by Venom, but she finally turns to the wild magic. Enough of this trauma exhibition. You're just trying to get me to say yes. Quit showing me the dudes who beat me up. You can't break me down. Suddenly, she is standing on a stage of a game show, a crowd oohing and awing at her. The lady knows what she wants, so let's show her what she can have, Black Fox says, channeling the best game show host. First off, the total annihilation of your enemies, he announces with the first door moving, showing Black Cat with ultimate power and her enemies falling before her. Oh, yes, Felicia claps. But that isn't enough. What do you get the girl who has everything? Why? Everything, of course! Black Fox shouts, and the next door opens, showing Black Cat showered in jewels, surrounded by people bowing to her as she wields the Infinity Gauntlet. Father and mother standing nearby, and she gasps at the image. But surely we can do better than that! Love? Everything you've broken healed? Every lover who left you, return to your side! Black Fox shouts, with the third door opening, seeing Felicia standing on a throne, surrounded by all of those who love her. But anger fills her eyes. How dare you! She snaps, reaching out, grabbing Magic by the throat. Outside, she begins to lash out blindly with her godlike powers. This is the moment that decides it. Strange shouts at the others. Inside, Magic is confused. I don't understand. I've offered you everything. Do you really think that I would make someone love me? With magic? She snaps as she slashes him across the throat. Outside, Felicia releases the shard of the World Tree, falling to the earth. Crew rush to her side as Dr. Strange picks up the piece of magic. I don't believe it. What did it offer you? Strange asks her. Everything. More than my soul could take. Not without becoming someone I couldn't bear being. She explains as she struggles to her feet. But they look up, seeing more of the dragons closing in. Hey. Use your juice to send my boys somewhere safe, Black Cat says to Strange, and in a flash of magic, the crew is teleported away, and Strange powers up Felicia's claws. Are you ready? As I'm going to be. Let's do this, baby, she shouts with a smile. And there you go. If you're wondering how Doctor Strange got out of the symbiote orb, this is one of those moments that it's like in Secret Empire, we had the Cosmic Cube being revealed in a side issue. And Marvel always seems to do this. Like Deadpool stopped one of the other events in another side issue. This is kind of a thing they do where there's always a tie-in series that kind of solves the problems for them. The MacGuffin, and then in the main story, the MacGuffin is just a MacGuffin. Black Cat has freed Doctor Strange, and honestly, this tie-in, out of all the tie-ins that I've read, is probably the one that's going to make me start reading Black Cat, because it was actually a really fun story. It tied directly into the King in Black storyline, and I'm really excited to see what's going to happen next, and I hope you are too. Don't forget to check us out over at Patreon, patreon.com, where you too can vote on the videos that are coming out on the channel real soon. And other than that, I guess I'll just see you guys next time at next Saturday's King in Black chapter. We got everyone back. We're coming to the conclusion. There's only so many more fights left to be had.